Hey, I'm Josh Spiegel, host of the podcast Lunatic in the Newsroom. If you enjoy journalism that drifts into mild panic, wild overthinking, and a guaranteed nervous breakdown, Lunatic in the Newsroom is for you. It's news like you've never heard before. The only newsroom with a panic button. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and gasp in horror as the show spirals completely out of control. It's not just news, it's emotionally unstable. Lunatic in the Newsroom. Listen today.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm the Medium, and this podcast is for those who wish to understand the wonderful world of spirit. Where do we go when we die? I'll share stories of mine as a medium and other mediums in our journeys, plus you will hear real-life client readings so that you can know without any doubt that your loved ones in spirit are around you all the time. I'm Jen, and this is the Singing Medium Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Singing Medium Podcast, and I am Jen, back again. Guess who's back? I'm going to tell you a lot of things today. So I've been building this up all week on my Instagram stories. I've been giving you little hints. I'm there's some really, really big things I'm going to tell you guys today. So it's a mishmash of visions, ideas, and truths. Okay, so for the past 48 hours, for some reason, I'm not sure what it is, and just so you guys are aware, I am completely clear. There's no plant medicine. I'm not taking any microdosing. I haven't touched any plant medicine since you know when, and this is all coming in very clearly because in the past, I've had to use higher plant medicines, like maybe cannabis, to get higher where the information is to access this. Nothing. This is au naturel coming in. So what would you say if I told you that the dark side of the moon that we can't see was like a space station for reptilian aliens? What would you say? And I am past the point of you are crazy. I am past that point where I no longer mind if someone says that to me, because pretty much every crazy thing that I've said has come true. Let's recap, shall we? What about the Squid Game prediction that I had? I had that. I predicted there's going to be a real life Squid Game, and I'm not sure if it's happened yet, but there was an article that was released about a year ago, or probably sooner than that, saying that they were going to do that in a different country. I'm not sure what country it was. And then someone sent me another one where in the Chinese airport, I believe, there are people dressed up just like that, in those hazmat suits with the machine guns and exactly like that. They just with a weird mask on their face. So just remember I said, the crazier, the more it's going to happen. The Purge one I had, the Purge prediction that I said, that is happening in Chicago in January of next year. So keep that in mind when I'm telling you. What would you say if I told you the dark side of the moon is a space station? Okay? I'm going to get into that. But first, before we get into all these psychic visions, ideas, and truths that are 100% just beaming into my knowing, beaming into my crown. My crown chakra is just like an overdrive with all of these. I'll get nothing for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden I have in the past 48 hours so many ideas and visions and these truths, and I'm trying to stay away from the word download because I don't love that word. People say I got a download today. I don't like saying that. I don't know what kind of voice that was. Was that a grandma? I don't know. I don't like that word, so I'm trying to think of a different word, but I don't have one right now. But before I do that, I have one quick announcement, and it is the final day. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you won't even know what I'm talking about. So I highly recommend you go follow me on Instagram, elevate.hersoul, and follow me there. That is the Mecca. That is where Jen is very, very showing up in. my words won't form. I have them in like a pause before this word comes out, which happens sometimes when I'm psychic. So my psychic readings, as you know, the mediumship readings went up to $300 an hour, and now the psychic readings are $200 as always, but they're going to go up $50 today. Today, if you're listening right now and you're like, oh my gosh, I really wanted to have a psychic reading with Jen, and you don't want to spend an extra $50, which by the way is worth it, go grab that right now. You can go get that done, get your booking in. You don't have to wait very long. And that's exciting. So that's pretty much the only one I have, and only announcement that I have for you today. Let's get into these things now. I'm going to say there is a mishmash or a balance between like freaky, worrisome warnings. And then there's also another side of it, which I don't usually get, is like the bigger picture. What is the spiritual, energetic reason for these things happening, right? Because we're very focused on the human experience and the human repercussions that we're being warned about. And I want you to know that there is a bigger spiritual purpose to this. Okay. And I sort of got like the full circle this morning when I was reading for a client that I regularly read for, and it just validated and solidified my feelings, or my clairsentient feelings, that there is a bigger purpose to this. And I feel like a lot of people are very nervous and I'm having anxiety, which I haven't had in a long time, but I feel like that's our soul kind of like, this is what's coming. It's going to be this whole other world. And the transformation is always painful. It's always painful. So it's like, we're about to get into, like, if you thought that was painful before, like there's more things that are going to be more painful, but you can't have this beautiful butterfly grow to this chrysalis unless you have that transformation, and you have to get through the transformation to get to be the butterfly, to get to the other side, to get to this other dimensional reality that we're kind of trying to, it sounds weird, but almost like we're trying to return home. And I don't mean you're going to die. I mean, like, we're trying to return home to our origins, which is our soul origin. Okay. So let me see where I should start with, because it was a lot coming in. So it was about 2 days ago at 5:43 a.m. I got a lot of the things. I've been waking up at 5 a.m., which I don't love. 5 a.m. is kind of like where these ideas and these visions are coming in, about 5 a.m. for some reason. Okay. Now, some of these coincide with like rumors I'm hearing, or like ideas that people are already talking about. But this, when I get spirit to back it up, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So the first thing they saw, the first vision I had, was a training room. So think of like Training Day, that movie, like a police meeting room where that, like, you know, they have their meetings or whatever, where you're being trained to be a police officer. Well, the vision that I had, almost like an astral projection into this space where men were being trained, and women were being trained on how to enforce, like it was enforcement training. So I'm not sure if you've heard of these camps that they're building. We don't want to call them concentration camps, but they're building these camps, and we don't know. I think it's had to do with something to do with climate change compliance. But again, I haven't read any articles. I don't know for sure. They're actually, if you go to the government website, the Ontario government website, there actually is a whole thing about these camps. Okay. They're under the guise of like, it's voluntary, yada, yada, yada. I can see the truth. The truth is like in plain sight for me. So that was the first vision of, they were training in a room, learning how to enforcement training, but they had hazmat suits on. So similar to the vision the TikTok video someone sent me today that I posted on my stories of in China at the airport, where they have these Squid Game kind of looking outfits on, and they've got the machine guns. Okay. Everything that's happening in China is eventually probably going to come here. And I know that doesn't sound rational, or like, no, that would never happen in Canada. But look at the past 2 years. We never thought things like this would happen in Canada, because Canada is supposed to be the most free country. You've read probably before that Justin Trudeau loves the Chinese government, loves the way they run things, or maybe that's his job, that he has to be the one who brings that into Canada. Because I did get another one. The Chinese communism will plan to take over Canada. Here's a prediction, which I'm not going to like, but we will become a communist country, but the people will do everything they can to fight. So that brings me back to the prediction I had the last episode of blocking the train. So another vision I had, I should have numbered these, crowds blocking everything. So once this goes down, and I don't believe it's going to happen in the future, I believe it's coming way sooner. It feels very soon, like all of these people who are doing quantum time leaping meditations, thank you, because you've just brought this sooner. You wanted to, when you time jump, like you do a quantum meditation and you jump timelines, or you bring the future in sooner, what you do is not only for yourself, but you're also bringing in for the collective. So everyone doing these quantum meditations to time jump are bringing in this entire thing from 2030 and making it now. So it's working, but not in a great way. But it's just happening where it's supposed to happen, okay? So that was one. Now, everything's going to be blocked. So people are going to go crazy, obviously, but they're going to block the train, the railroad system. They're going to block roads. They're going to block bridges again. It's not going to be like last time. So they know this is going to happen. The government knows and is preparing. They know we're going to not be happy about all these changes that are coming with the financial system, where you're not going to own your house anymore. You're not going to own anything. And wait till the end. I'm going to tell you the spiritual energy for this, okay? They have prepared. So did you see the article where there was 3 satellite police offices or buildings set up, and it's just Chinese police? It's just the Chinese. Why does Canada need Chinese police stations? Okay, and I have mentioned before that I did see the Chinese military practicing or doing drills or whatever, training in Canada. There's a lot of them. I keep seeing these visions like there's a lot of military intervention, because the Canadian military, I believe, I could be wrong, energetically, they don't want to do this. They don't want to do the plans. There's some people who are, hell yes, let's do this. Let's help this enforcement training. Let's do this training with the hazmat suits on. There's some people who do love that, but it's going to be mostly made up of Chinese military. I keep seeing the Chinese symbols. They don't give up. They don't give a beep. They do not give a bleep. They don't. They're preparing. So the government needs numbers. They need numbers, and they need people who don't give a shit. And so this is where they had the Chinese. We're getting little hints, you guys. Pay attention to the hints. You're getting hints along the way. Any article you see that's kind of what? Like a what? Huh? That is a hint. I feel like that is spirit giving us a hint, or like a warning. Here's your little hint of what's coming. We're getting little pebbles, and people who are really tuned in and really doing this work will pick up on the hints. But some people want to turn a blind eye, and that's fine. I have chosen to be one of those people who just tells you what's coming, so you're not completely blindsided, okay? So there's that. So how they're going to do this is have the Chinese military intervene, because they want and you heard people calling Canada China. Yeah, they were calling it that a year ago when we had the trucker convoy. So we're getting little hints. Pay attention to the little hints. Okay? We're getting little droplets from spirit of what's to come. And there's more. There's obviously more. But just stay tuned for the end, okay? There is a bright light at the end of the tunnel here. Now remember, it's about to get even crazier. What was that prediction I had 2 years ago? It's going to get tyrannical before it gets dystopian. Okay? As you saw, that has been coming true. Tyrannical is tyrannical. It was tyrannical. The next step is dystopian. It's going to be, you will not recognize this country. I'm telling you. You will not recognize this country. And a lot of people that I'm reading for, people who have the funds or have the prosperity set aside to be able to go and move to Costa Rica or go start have their own land and live off the land, they're the ones who get to do this. We are here. We're going to be stuck here. Most of us are going to be stuck here going through all of this, okay? There's a reason, though. Something was majorly out of alignment. Majorly out of alignment. Okay. So then I'm also tuning in and receiving something about climate days. Climate days. So when the digital ID comes out, which I'm hoping, I don't think we can stop this, but when it comes out, they're going to be able to track everything that you do. wherever you go, this kind of thing. So what I got from Spirit was don't bring your phone, because you're going to need your phone for everything for a little while. Your phone is going to have everything on it. You can only pay with your phone. You'll only be able to like get gas with your, like it's just going to be only your phone. That's how they get you. And if you have an electric vehicle, my suggestion is to get rid of that. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. So climate days where they turn various cities and towns' powers out for a day or two. They're going to turn the power off and like reciprocating, sort of like first it's this town, then tomorrow it's going to be this town, then it's going to be this town, then this city. Some people will have power, this town won't. There's going to be gas shortages. That's why, okay, the hint was when gas went up to 2 cents a liter or $2, whatever it is. When gas went up that high, okay, that was a hint. And then there was another article about they're in another country. I don't know if it's Russia. Well, I don't know. They're just cutting off the gas supply. They're turning it down or something. And in Europe, they're saying there's going to be a cold winter. You're not allowed to have your thermostat above 19 degrees or they're going to put you in jail. I'm not kidding. I can't make this up. That is what they said in Europe. Food shortages, things like this. Okay? Okay, so those are the predictions, I think. Those are the predictions. Let me see if there's more here. Okay. Yeah, so those are predictions. Those are psychic visions. Now we're going to get into the ideas. Okay? You still with me? Stay with me. All right. So let's get into the ideas. So last night, just minding my own business, trying to sleep. Stone cold sober. No plant medicine. Remember this. I'm lying there. I can't sleep. I'm like, I feel like something is trying to tell me something. Like you've heard the story multiple times of me in March 2020 where these alien beings came to me and the energy was so intense that I threw up everywhere and I got mad, turned my gifts off because I was mad, but I got like everything that was going to happen. I wrote it down. I shared it on my blog, and I'm like, I don't want anything else to do with aliens who are going to make me throw up because that's like not cool. So the reptilians the aliens don't talk to me anymore. I don't really allow them to do that, but then they get around it with here's a vision, here's an idea. And remember the rule is you can't make anything up. As a psychic, you can't make something up. You can use your projections and your own like things that upset you or whatever, but you can't, like your own traumas and things and project that, but I can't make this up. So what I saw was these are ideas. This idea plopped into my head. The reptilians they're a darker type of alien residing on the dark side of the moon. And the moon is a space station for them. So the evil ones on Earth are sort of like projections of the reptilians' mind. I'm just going to let you sink that in a little. Like there's like almost like a contract between the government and more the American, the aliens and the government of the states. Probably us too, but I feel like it's more presidential energy. They have an agreement or a contract with them. So just stay with me for a second. They're working together, okay? And the government, the bad guys, are doing their bidding. They're doing the reptilian bidding. The reptilians say, you need to have control over your planet. That is like being puppeteered from not this world. It's being puppeteered from this reptilian dark side of the moon. They're the ones in charge. They are in charge, not the government on Earth. I know it sounds super whack. I'm telling you, I can't make shit up. Okay? So the government is doing their bidding. So it goes like, if you want to make a little tier, a pyramid in your mind, put reptilians at the top, World Economic Forum, and then the presidents and the government underneath that. And then the military underneath that. Especially the Chinese military, okay? That's the order that it goes in, which we're missing a step. We were missing, well, why would the government be so evil? But like, here's the thing. There's a plan to take over the world. Control comes from reptilian. So the WEF wants to control the world. One world government. You're not going to own anything. all that is crazy stuff that was a conspiracy theory. Now we know is to be true. And the plan is to take over the world, but it comes from the reptilians. It does not come from the government. It wasn't like Klaus Schwab was like one day, I think I want to take over the world. I mean, he could have, but like he's obviously a reptilian or being projected as that reptilian energy. He's transferring what they're telling them to do. Like, there's a script, right? There's a script they have to say. So every time you see Justin Trudeau do a freaking speech, he's like there's a speech. He has a speech. He's just a puppet. He's just a puppet. And all of them have to be narcissistic. Everyone that the reptilians are telling, in cahoots with to say, this is the plan that we're going to do. One of the criteria is they have to be a narcissist, because narcissists lack empathy and they don't give a shit. They don't care. They have no remorse, nothing like that. Okay. So that is one of the things. So here's the idea. And I know this is true, but I'm saying to you, what if there's an agreement between the government and the reptiles to carry out their plan? Now just hold on with me for a second. In exchange for not destroying Earth. Just let that sink in. What if the reptilians were told the government, said, we're going to destroy your planet. How are you going to make us stop? And they go, okay, we'll make a deal with you. We work together. We'll do this to take over the world instead of blowing it up. I know that sounds like, even to me, I'm like, okay, Jen, shut up. I can't make this up. I have this nagging feeling this is what the plan is. I always say, you guys got to look at the bigger picture. What is the bigger, more expansive picture to what is you're currently seeing and observing and experiencing? The other idea was, what if all those movies, like, I forget what that movie's called, but it's got the Aerosmith song in it. What if these alien movies come and take over the White House? What if all these movies were warnings? What if all those movies, all those alien movies taking over the world, were warnings? And we're just like sitting there with our popcorn. Look at this alien movie taking over the world. That will never happen. Guys, Hollywood's involved in this, but what if some of Hollywood wasn't evil, like we're learning? What if some of them were actually like, hey, let's warn everybody, and under the guise that this is just fiction, it's just made up, but it's not. It has to come from somewhere. The ideas have to come from somewhere. And if you're saying it's just their imagination, well, guess what? When you use your imagination and you have visions in your mind or ideas in your mind, that is psychic information. That is how you do psychic work. That's how it works. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to let all that sink in. You might want to listen to this again. Okay. Now, this is what I think is the bigger picture besides what I just dropped a bomb on you about the aliens. When I talked about we have to go through this transformation, we must go through this uncomfortable, painful transformation as a collective, as human beings on this planet at this time. You can't stop it. We're going to like block the trains. We're going to, try to escape our houses when it's climate day. You guys stay home and you can't go 5 kilometers. We're going to try. That's what we do. Okay? Which we should be doing, which we're going to do. I just don't think it's going to work. Because I think we're going, and I don't get upset. I think it's for a purpose. I see a spiritual, energetic purpose to this. So before I couldn't see the outcome, but everyone's talking about how we want to go to 5D, and I did an episode on that, like 5D. 5D is like you can't get to a fifth dimensional world just because you say you want a quantum jump. Like stop quantum jumping, okay? Because every time you guys do that, you're bringing in this faster. This is coming in faster. It's supposed to be 2030. Now it's probably next year or sooner, okay? And it's because of the quantum. So, you know how they're talking about there's going to be no cash? You know what I mean? They're going to be able to track what you spend. If you don't behave or comply with something, you're not going to be able to spend money on it. Like use their digital dollars or whatever it's going to be. The bigger picture of this is in a fifth dimensional world, there's no money because it doesn't allow for everyone to be equal. So there's rich people, there's middle class, and there's the poor. Think of it like sometimes people say to me, I really want to do your course, or I really want to work with you one-on-one, but I don't have the money to do that. And so if it feels good to me and them, I will say, let's do a payment plan. Some people can't even afford a payment plan. Is that fair? No. Could they manifest? I don't know. Maybe they don't believe in that. Maybe they just, I don't know. If you're born onto this world, and it shouldn't be that you can't afford to do something. That's not fair. Like, I don't know if I've told this story about the yoga studio years ago. When Chad and I had separated, I moved to a townhouse because I just wanted to have my own place. And we did the whole like sharing the kids thing back and forth. But I remember having no money. And at the time I cared, but I didn't care. I just wanted to be on my own for a bit. I remember going to No Frills, and I had like maybe $12 in my bank account. And I'm like, okay, what can I buy for $12? So I remember buying a can of beans and a loaf of bread and maybe some Katie. That's what I ate. Does that feel right to you? No. Think of that. It was never supposed to be like that. It was never supposed to be poor, rich. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Okay? And because we're all waking up and getting closer to spirit and the universe, now the universe is like, okay, let me show you something. Let me show you how it's supposed to be. What I believe is going to happen, like it was never meant to be where one could not afford things or be denied something or be poor. It was never supposed to be that way. So now it's being corrected. With all this chaos, that is being corrected. Okay, so there's a positive. Now, I have way more. This is going to be a long podcast. Stay with me. What's going to come is, instead of like when you say, you can't afford to do this service, so then you miss out on support, you miss out on a service, you miss out on experience of growth because you can't afford it. So what is coming is more of a exchange of services. So let's just use me as an example. You want a psychic reading, and I said they're going out $50. And a year from now, you won't be able to pay me any money. I don't know how it's going to work, but you're not going to be able to give me cash and say, okay, I'm going to come to your house for reading. Here's $100 or $300, whatever. So it's going to happen in more of a fifth dimensional energy, would not be of ego where I'm like, well, you have to pay me $250 or you can't have a reading, which by the way, I wouldn't do. If you need a reading, we'll figure it out. It will be exchange of services. So instead of you giving money for an exchange for a reading, you would bring me something. You would bring me food. You would bring me a gift card to Starbucks, if that even works in the future. You would bring me something that has the similar energy value to what I'm providing you, and you give to me. Okay? There's also going to be more bartering with each other, but not in a money sense. So there's going to be some bartering going on. Like, okay, I'll give you this. I don't know. If anyone brings me a red color, real life teacup poodle, you can have whatever the freak you want from me. I will mentor you for your whole life. I will do readings for your whole life. I will come to your house and do group. I will do whatever you want. You bring me this puppy that I want, we are good. So like things like that, you know what I mean? It's like that idea of like I know this is joking, but like someone bringing me this dream dog that I have. I already have the name for this dog. So when I get this teddy bear, red color, teacup poodle dog, his name is going to be James Halbert. Okay, I'm an Office fan, you know that? So this dog's name already has a name. This dog is not in my life yet, physically. In the ethers, he exists. And his name is going to be James Halbert. And we're going to call him Jimmy for short. Because Chad has a thing with Jimmy. Chad is like obsessed with the name Jimmy. Everything we get is a Jimmy. I'm surprised Jake's name isn't Jimmy, for God's sakes. Okay, so that kind of thing. Like I got so... Like the feeling is even different when I'm like, I would rather have you bring me this dream puppy than you pay me $200. Like that to me is like, my arm hair stands up when I said that as a joke. I was like, if someone did that, you can have whatever you want. So it's going to be more like that. It's going to be more like that. And I got like so excited, like way more than you giving me money. So that's where it's heading. In a fifth dimensional energy, there's no money. There's more exchanging of services to help one another, right? We say, oh, I'm helping you, But if you have to spend your last $200, I'm just using me as an example. If you have to spend your last $200 to talk to me, is that a fifth dimensional thing? Not really. It's 3D. It's our program. It's what we know. It's the Matrix. So while we're all terrified of the chaos that's coming, I'm excited about what is after that. I really am. I know I usually give you doom and gloom, and I just said that for half an hour, all these doom and gloom things. But I'm really excited for that. And it's already started. So there's people called way showers who are very advanced spiritually right now. They're just right now, they're very advanced spiritually. They're going to be the ones who sell everything. They're going to sell their homes. They're going to sell their boats. They're going to sell their cars. They're going to sell their purses. And they're going to be the ones who take their families, because they're going to have the funds to do it, to move to Costa Rica and live off the land in a more simple life. Because I was telling a client, when I went to Peru, before I went to Peru, I was all about the material things. And I'm going to get to this idea in a minute. But I was all about the Kate Spade purses and the Kate Spade watch and, doing your hair and makeup, which is fine. I do that. And when I went to Peru, we had an opportunity to help these kids in the village that was right by the little resort we stayed at. And we brought them coloring books from the dollar store. We brought them crayons and markers, and I can't remember what else we brought them, but I will never forget this as long as I live. We brought them stickers. And these kids have nothing. Like, they have a dog running around. They live by the river so they can wash their clothes. And the kids lined up. I'm not kidding you. The kids lined up. I don't speak Spanish, but I was learning Spanish really quick. The boys and the girls lined up like, hey, boys go in this line, girls go in this line. And they lined up outside, and we gave them stickers. I have never felt so much joy from a child in my life. They got to pick their sticker. That brought them joy. And I'm going to tear up talking about it. But I said, I don't need Kate Spade purses anymore. I don't need that. That is not how we're supposed to live. This is how we live. Helping each other, bringing joy to people. That's where we're headed. Right? And I wish I had planned to go back there to teach English, but then the pandemic hit, so I didn't get to go. Okay. So there's that. Now I'm going to give you, let me see, a couple more things about what our world is going to look like after the chaos. So we're going to be less materialistic. You know how we're like on Boxing Day, we have to go to the mall on Boxing Day and buy a big TV. Ugh, that's going to be gone. We are so attached to materialistic things. Like I just gave you an example, my Kate Spade purse. My Kate Spade purse has a name called people call my purse lemon meringue. That's the name of my purse. Who cares? Who cares? No, I don't care about the purse. I like it because it's pretty, but I don't care. So we're going to be less materialistic, and we're going to have no more attachment. We are very attached to our things. We're attached to our couches. We're attached to our dog. We're attached to our house. Because we're like, oh, if someone tries to take my house away, I'm going to shoot them. I have my guns in the basement. I mean, it sounds horrible, and it's terrifying that someone might come to your house and say you can't own your house anymore. But that's where we're headed. You wanted 5D? We're getting 5D. There's no materialistic attachments in 5D. There's no cash in 5D. That's where you guys wanted to go. That's where we're going. Okay? So that's the new world. So you know how they say it's new world order? Focus on the new world. New world. Yes, we're going to be controlling. Yes, we're going to have to do whatever. That's why we're doing the work right now, to be happy for no reason. Because if you have all these attachments and you're obsessed with having materialistic things, the big fancy house, the big car, that's not the point. When you die, you're going to be like, why did I give a shit about that brand new Mustang I had out there? Why did I need the fancy shoes? Right? That is the program that we were trained. We were programmed to need these things, and that is not our origin at all. Not our origin. A couple more things I forgot to mention here. What's also going to happen is that most debt will be canceled. When this goes through, most debt will be canceled. So you won't have any debt. Because also that's not alignment. You got into debt because you thought you needed these materialistic things, and that is not who we are. We are a soul. We were a light being. Our soul does not need credit cards. I know that's Captain Obvious, right? But again, we're programmed in the matrix that we need to go into debt to buy these things so we look really good so people think that we're awesome. Meanwhile, we're all like fucking 6-year-olds stuck in a human body in our trauma. Like, we're trying to feed ourselves. We're trying to feel better by getting outside things, and that is 3D. In 5D, you don't need something outside of yourself. So we're training ourselves. That's what I've been doing anyways for the past 6 years of like, how do I be happy without these outside things? And I know how to be happy on purpose now. A lot of people have no fucking clue how to do that. So they're going to have way more hard time. This sounds really crazy too, but I feel like there's going to be no more phones. And I think in a TikTok, like a couple months ago, I posted that one of my predictions was there's going to be no more phones. And someone who works in tech says I was right. She goes, I work in tech and you're absolutely right. That's going to happen. Because they want to push the microchip. Comply. If you don't comply with the microchip, you're going to the camp where the Chinese military is. And they'll keep you there until you get the plant. Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds a little bit, but remember I said it's going to get tyrannical before it gets dystopian, and we're headed to the dystopian part next. Okay? You're not going to recognize this country, but again, I want you to keep the vision of what I said. We're going to be more community oriented. We're going to help people for no reason. You know, like there's a homeless person on downtown Toronto and you like give him $20 and then you take a selfie with him. That's not pure. That's not right. So it's going to be like we're going to be helping each other more. We're going to be inviting neighbors into our homes. We're going to be sharing food with our neighbors and our families. It's not going to be as much as a divide. I'm telling you, it sounds horrible and terrifying, and I have anxiety, but it's uncomfortable for a reason. You are uncomfortable for a really big reason. Okay? Things are just going to unfold. We have to allow things to be what they are, I think. I'm not like succumbing to this, like, but people are going to fight. I just don't know how successful it's going to be, but there is going to be some retribution for all of those leaders, those, Prime Minister Trudeau and all those guys who are doing shady things. Like you saw, I said they're going to be accounted for, and they are. They're going to court right now. So just hold the line. Hold the line was like what they kept yelling at the Freedom Convoy. I was there. I was there when the trucks were honking really loud. Like you can't hear what anyone's saying. It's all screaming and beautiful and happy. Just hold the line. We got to hold the line and be uncomfortable for a bit. And then we're going to have a new world. Okay? One that is the origins of the soul. Right now, we're not the origins of the soul. We are of judgment and hatred and anger and fear. But that's part of it. It's not a bad thing to have those things. That is getting us out of that loop and getting us into this fifth dimension that everyone keeps talking about, the true, authentic fifth dimensional space. Okay? One more thing I think. I'm looking through my notes here. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but I have like multiple notes on my phone here. But what I heard before I went to bed was public health has been infiltrated. Public health has been infiltrated. And we all know like the doctors they're being threatened if they don't push this, on people to put them in therapy. Okay, that's the newest thing. But this is more public health. Okay, so public health has been infiltrated. So first it was the doctors, now it's public health. Okay, so just keep that. Every time I see one of those ads for like the Vax bus, I'm like, oh my God. I can't handle it when they show me a thing about the Vax bus coming around where you can go to a bus and get a needle in your arm. Don't get me started, you guys. It's not a real vaccine. It's not even a vaccine. It's okay. Anyways, don't get me started on that. You do you. You make your decisions. I love you for your decisions. You do what you feel is right for you. I'm just the one who knows. I can just see the truth. And sometimes I wish I couldn't see the truth, but I see the truth. And the truth will come out. And I will love you no matter what. Okay? So, love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Singing Meaning podcast. I'm going to remember to put the outro music on here because I always forget. And my friend always reminds me, you didn't put the outro music on. So I'm going to put it on so you can clap away on your way out of here. And I'll see you all next time on the Singing Media